Today on Left Off the Map is our second last location in the Huon region with Francis Bender as we do our food crawl through the budding foodie destination in Tasmania, which is the Huon Valley. Today we're going to the Old Bank, an eatery in Eaton that is really well known for its home-cooked Italian dishes and its desserts. So I'm going to use a spin on desserts today and do two desserts. One I'm doing now, which is French toast with, I guess you'd call it a honey custard at the end. And then later, we're going to have a very special guest come join us and we're going to make a kid's version of an Eaton mess. So let's get into this French toast first. I've got brioche here. The only thing I could get was little brioche hamburger buns. So I've just cut them into, like you would, little bits of toast. So that's ready to go. Before we get our egg yolks and our honey into that bowl, I want to heat up my milk. So I'll get that on and start gently heating that. And then I'm going to whisk together my egg yolks and my honey. I'm using 4 egg yolks. Four egg yolks, and now some honey. So honey isn't as sweet as sugar is, obviously. It has a very different flavour profile. It doesn't have that saccharine sweetness to it. This is leatherwood honey, which is uniquely Tasmanian, and I think nowhere near as sweet as some other honeys. So I'm going to add about 125 grams of honey. Now I just need to bring those two together. My milk, got a little bit of steam coming off it, so I know it's probably warm enough now to be able to add to my egg mixture. So I just want to make a little collar. So get your tea towel, wrap it around like that. That way my bowl isn't going to move anywhere and I can add my milk a little bit at a time while I'm whisking. All right, so I've replaced my pot, which had the milk in it, with some water, which we'll bring to the boil and use as a double boiler to start thickening our custard. So we want to get it up to about 80, 85 degrees. It will start to thicken, then we can take it off. Be careful, if you go above that, if you get up sort of the high 80s, 90s, you're going to curdle, which means you'll separate the egg from the milk and we'll end up basically with scrambled eggs. So we'll keep an eye on this and gently bring the heat into it while I'm moving it around and it will thicken. While I wait for my custard to come together, I'll keep an eye on that, but I'll start putting together the ingredients that I need for my French toast. So my bread is sorted, my brioche. Now I need to make up it's another custard, a custard to go on the brioche when we cook it off. So another bowl. Into my bowl, I've got 2 whole eggs. Some sugar, about 1/4 cup of sugar. Some vanilla, about 1 teaspoon of vanilla paste. And a little bit of cinnamon. And then I'm going to add about 1/2 cup of milk. So it's basically the same ingredients that would go in your custard. Bring it together. Except we're not going to heat this. So what we're doing really is we're turning it into a raw custard mixture that I can soak my brioche in. So we'll pop a couple of pieces of brioche in there, soak them in the custard, leave them for about 10 minutes, and then we'll cook that bread off in a fry pan with a little bit of butter. After the bread has soaked up all the custard it can handle, place a knob of butter into a fry pan. Cook the French toast for 2 to 3 minutes on each side. To make sure it's cooked through, push the middle of the toast. No wet custard should seep through. Place 2 pieces of cooked French toast into a bowl and pour over the honey sabayon. This should be light and airy. If you have some fresh berries on hand, they would go perfectly on top of this dish.
Thank you.
What did you get?
Apple and fennel.
Look at it.
I know.
There's always room for dessert.
Yum. It's a pity to spoil it. It looks so nice. Oh, they're savoury and they're sweet, so just beautiful. Absolutely.
How long have you known about this place?
Oh, for the last few years, ever since they've moved in.
Really?
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. They've been here for a while now, members of the community, and the community's embraced them. And you actually, in normal circumstances, need to make a booking now. You can't just walk in anymore. So us locals that are used to just walking in off the street can't do that anymore because... Yeah, it does. It does. Sometimes it does, but it's great because they know that they have the covers. They know that they have the business coming.
Yeah.
So and they use social media really well.
Yeah.
So Facebook, and people, their reputation is spreading far and wide. So it's great.
You've talked today about seasonal produce and a small menu. These guys have got a small menu. Everything's regional. It's seasonal, which means you're going to get product and produce that is fresh. It's from the time of year. How important is freshness, do you think, to your industry and what you create as a product to deliver to customers?
It's absolutely paramount. Seafood has to be fresh, and for a consumer to have trust in seafood, it's got to be fresh.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the problems people have had over the years, and they may have had a bad experience. And that's it, and they don't want to have seafood anymore. A lot of people are still frightened to sort of deal with seafood, but as you and I both know, it's just such a simple protein to deal with, but it does need to be fresh. So our whole mantra is to harvest it at night. So it's and our saying is harvest at night, fresher by day.
Yep.
And so we harvest at night for a couple of reasons. Firstly, the fish are quieter at that time of the night, and they're less stressed, and then that actually goes towards their shelf life and our ability to humanely harvest them, which we use a percussion stunning system to do.
Yep.
And then also that ties in really well with what the customer requires. So we work back from what the customer requires. So the time that you'd want to have the fish, we allow for the transport, the logistics, the processing and the harvesting, and that works back to it's best to harvest at night. Right. So we harvest at night to make sure that the product is the very best through the day. And freshness is what we hang our hat on. We've actually had scenarios where we've had customers in Japan ring us and say, oh, your fish are frozen. We don't want your fish, they're frozen. And we sent our agent in to the Skiji fish market to discover that the fish weren't frozen, they were actually still in rigor. Yeah. So they were so fresh, and it had taken such a long time for that process, that physiological process to happen, that they'd actually been harvested, trucked, processed, trucked to Melbourne, flown to Japan, got to the market, and they were still in rigor. They were fresher than their normal fish that they caught in Japan. They weren't frozen. So freshness is paramount.
Yeah.
That's really, and so we've all our processes are managed around that. So we have harvest team that work at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that it's about what the consumer needs, and then you work backwards from there. So I imagine for you it would be easy to harvest a day, but it wasn't about what's easy for you. It's about what's the best system to get the best product.
It's about what's best for the fish, and then it's about what's best for the customer.
Yeah.
And those two things work together to mean that we will continue to harvest at night. And we just get a far better product. We don't get any gaping, we get exceptional shelf life. And then when it goes into as the fish is resting from when it's harvested, because in the summer when we're harvesting, we could be harvesting and because the fish will be the temperature that the water is.
Yeah.
But they can't go into a factory if it's 18 or 19 degrees. But by the time they're trucked to the north into and go into our factory, they're below 4 degrees, between 1 and 4.
Yep.
So they go straight out of the tankers, straight into our factory, and then they're processed and they go straight down the line, straight into the trucks, onto the ferry, off the island, consolidated to go overseas or start their trip around Australia. It does actually add more stress, a lot more stress, and in some ways it adds more cost. But the benefit for us is we give the very best product, to the consumer at the end, to either the customer or the wholesaler, or the end consumer or the retailer, and that's what it's all about. So the harvested by night, fresher by day is our sort of mantra.
Yeah. But
the team that we have working for us all have their skill sets and all have that sort of end result in mind. Yeah. So it comes from the top. From Peter's always been really focused on it, but it permeates down the entire business, and everyone has that opinion. And because they all do, then it works.
Well, when we leave here, we're actually going to go and do a little bit of cooking, and we'll get to see that fresh product and how you then, once you're delivering a really fresh product, how it can then go onto a shelf and then stay fresh.
Yes.
For as long as possible.
Yep.
So
great.
we'll finish these up, finish our coffees.
I know,
this is to your shack.
Yes, this is so nice.
Well, that food crawl, as you can see, we're getting pretty full, and a nice place to stop was the old bank. They do great savoury dishes, but we had dessert there. So I'm going to finish today's episode with dessert, hopefully a dessert that Frances will be proud of. I've got some help in the kitchen. So this is Luca. She's from where I'm from, so from the northwest coast of Tasmania. She's a little foodie, and she's going to help us create this dish. Now, do you know what an Eaton mess is, Luca? Eaton mess, yeah. Does anyone in your family like Eaton mess?
Mum.
Your mum likes it. So we're going to make this one. It's a little bit different than a normal Eaton mess. First thing, make some meringue. Have you made meringue before? Yep. Kinda. So we need the egg whites, not the egg yolks. I'm going to pop them into here. So I'm not going to make a lot of meringue because we only need a small. Normally meringue is like this big. I need a small amount to make our little Eaton messes. So I'm going to use 2 egg whites. What do you like cooking at home?
Panna cotta.
Yeah.
And fried rice.
Fried rice. Okay, so we've got 3 egg whites in there, a little bit of sugar. We can put in about a quarter of a cup of our sugar, a little bit of cream of tartar, which is just going to help stabilise it, and a little bit of vinegar as well, which helps bring the yolk together, the white together. And now we mix it. Now we're going to let that spin around for about 5 to 10 minutes. So we're going to have a break. We'll have a juice box each, and then we'll come back and check on it, okay? Right. All right, Luca, that's been going for about 10 minutes. How was your juice box? Good? All right, so now it's your turn to do some work because I've done most of it. So this is our meringue mixture. Just going to grab a spoon out of there. I'll pop this on top of our sheet. And what I need you to do, I'll hold the tray. You just need to spread it out so it's even all over our tray. All right, off you go. Good girl. It's like icing, kinda, on top of a cake. And the good thing is, it doesn't really matter what kind of shape you make because we're going to crush it up. So we just need it to be reasonably even. Perfect. Well done. So I'll grab that. I'll just finish this off. You got it on your hands. You can lick them if you want to. Go on. Just like you if you're at home. That's perfect. So I'm going to pop that in the oven. The oven's at about 140 degrees, anywhere from 120 to 140 for about, this will probably take about half an hour to 40 minutes, okay? All right, I've got 300 mils of cream, pouring that in on the excess meringue. So I can combine those two together to whip our cream. Bring all that together. Yeah, I mean, you don't want too much of the marshmallow or the meringue left in there, but if it's just a little bit, you'll get away with creating some marshmallow cream. A little bit of sugar, not a lot, about a tablespoon, about a teaspoon of vanilla. All right, so that's pretty much done. So do you want to go through there and pick out all the normal M&Ms for me? And put them in here. Come into there. And then you like raspberries and strawberries? Yep, so we can use both of those. So chopping these strawberries, you just bite-sized pieces. That's probably enough. So we're going to have strawberries in our Eaton mess, raspberries in our Eaton mess, and plain M&Ms, because they're Luca's favourite. Good girl, do you reckon that's enough? Yep, cool. So we'll pop those out here. So we've got our M&Ms, our raspberries, and our strawberries. So now we've just got to wait for our meringue to cook, and then we can make our mess, okay? So our meringue is done, Luca. So it's nice and waferish, nice and hard. So when we peel it off there, we'll have this sort of meringue wafer underneath. All right, this is the fun bit. This is the bit I'm going to let you do. There you go. All that goes in there and just gently mix it around, okay? Haha. It's like a pick and mix self-serve, soft serve ice cream. All right, so into your beautifully picked bowl. So this is basically the cream, marshmallow, and all the goodies that we picked out of there, mixed into that. And now our wafer. Now, just pop those on top, sort of in any direction, any pattern that you want. Stick them in. So they look like big sails. That is mine and Luca's version of an Eaton mess. But it's a cool, different looking Eaton mess, I think. What do you reckon? Do you like it? Yeah? Would you make it at home? I don't reckon you'd be able to eat a lot of it though. I reckon it'd be very sweet, very sickly. Well, Luca, thank you very much for coming and helping me cook. And you will be in what grade next year?
3.
So you'll be going into grade 3 and you'll have to tell all your friends at school to make sure they watch the show. Do you want to give them a wave? That's our recipe for Eaton mess. Have a wonderful day. Wave goodbye to everyone. See ya.